G'day, wonderful listeners. This is episode 84 of Trev's Talk, and I'm your host, Trev. Last week, I mentioned how Catenian's man, Steve, told me about reading my name in Archbishop Hickey's book, and I then expressed a desire to visit the Archbishop, who I've had dealings with in the past. So, Steve emailed his Catenian friend Graham, who lived in the same retirement village as the Archbishop, to ask him whether he would like a visit from me. Graham contacted me to let me know the Archbishop's phone number and said the Archbishop suggested I give him a call and make an appointment. I did that and now have an appointment after this weekend. Also last week, I mentioned that a young lady called Mary had spoken to me at the church parking lot about going on a trip to Medjugorje, and when I tried to email her, my first email from the charity email address just disappeared, and she asked me again to email her, so I did, but used my personal email address, and that one did go through to her. However, the weird disappearing of my first email from the charity email address struck me as highly unusual, and maybe it was done by Our Lady to hint to me that she wanted me to arrange pilgrimages to Medjugorje. Thinking that Our Lady might want me to do pilgrimages made me contact Michael, a man experienced in arranging overseas travel for groups, and I have now got an appointment with him in 2 days' time. In the meantime, I have done lots of research into organising pilgrimages to Our Lady's shrines around the world and have discovered that with Michael's help, I should be able to get groups together to make pilgrimages. I can decide on doing that after meeting with Michael. Now, thinking seriously about arranging pilgrimages to Our Lady's shrines makes me wonder whether Our Lady wants me to talk about that to Archbishop Hickey when I meet with him. Another topic of conversation I will have with the Archbishop is about giving talks on Medjugorje and how it changed my life to several Catenian groups, and when I asked those groups at the end of my talks whether they thought I should visit more Catenian groups and give my talk to them, there was an almost unanimous show of hands to encourage me to do that. Maybe I can get the Archbishop to listen to my talk if I can arrange one at his retirement village for residents and staff. Then the Archbishop could assess my talk suitable or not for giving to parishes around Perth on Sundays after their 9 o'clock services. He might even be helpful in getting my presentation into my first church parish. That's another wait and see until after I actually visit him. Last episode, I promised to bring you up to date on how my medical clearance is going. I did attend an appointment with a dame doctor, as the CASA Complex Cases Manager advised me to do. The doctor I attended was named Dr. Belinda and had her consulting room at Jandakot, right near the airport proper. She turned out to be lovely. She listened to my story and treated me with kindness and compassion. She did not infer that I might be too old. She explained how I might present a case to CASA asking for their wishes as to what conditions they might accept I undertake for them to grant me the medical clearance I must have if ever I am to fly. Then she offered to write to CASA herself and ask them. On top of that, she would not take any payment for the appointment. She is putting herself to the trouble of writing a letter on my behalf for no payment, and a letter from her would be taken notice of, as against a letter from me, which would have no power with CASA. Her letter would be much more powerful than mine. So that's the position at the moment. I must wait until I hear from the good doctor or from CASA as to my next move. I'm sure CASA will order that I go off my mental health medication under my doctor's supervision and that I suffer no mental health issues while off medication for some lengthy period of time, and probably some flying conditions like carry no passengers for a lengthy period of time. But I will be happy to accept any conditions if it means I get to fly planes. You know how I've been worried about Chelsea from the Salvos not getting in touch for ages. I've mentioned that before, so you should remember. Well, there has been some really great news on that front. Chelsea rang me since last episode to say the head office people from the Salvos in the eastern states have given the okay to get on board the scholarship fund. They don't want to be co-founders as it does not fit with their organisational legalities, but they are very happy to come on board as supporters. After waiting so long to hear anything from Chelsea, when I heard that good news, I was hard-pressed not to shout with joy down the phone to her. But with racing heart, I quickly said to her, it's all good because I would make the Salvos major supporters and they would still join the scholarship fund with the same funding responsibility. Chelsea said she was in her car driving and she would email me to organise another meeting to chat. So that means I must wait on that meeting to find if the funding is going to be the same as with co-founders. I can easily arrange sign writing on our minibus and names displayed on the Scholarship Fund website to still have good visual impact, with 3 co-founders and 1 major supporter, but that is one of the things Chelsea and I need to discuss at our next meeting. I look forward to meeting her again, as she is a very nice lady, and I'm sure she'll be as helpful as she can be regarding minor details of having the Salvos as a major supporter, not as a co-founder. So I will report on all that to you in another episode. Back in episode 82, I mentioned that John from the little church in Bellevue and the organisation called Hands and Feet that I deliver frozen meals to on Wednesdays gave me the name and contact details of Andrew, who is higher up the pecking order than John and might be able to make decisions on where Hands and Feet can outlay funds. I told you that I would get a meeting with Andrew and see if I could interest his organisation into becoming a co-founder of a school with a high cohort of Aboriginal students. Well, Andrew has been away in Uganda but is supposed to be back at work later today, so I will try and contact him and get him to appoint me a meeting. Now that the Salvos are on board with the Anglicans, Catholics and Vinnies to establish the scholarship fund at our local Aboriginal school, I am looking to do something similar at one of the nearby schools with a large cohort of Aboriginal students. That is why I am reaching out to Andrew of Hands and Feet. They might agree to become a co-founder. I will try to get them. There are some other possibilities. I might be able to enlist other co-founders in our extended area. For instance, there is a pastor from the Seventh-day Adventist Church named Lauren, who I've had some dealings with in the past. When I first took on delivering ready-to-heat meals from the hospital about 5 years ago, I was getting more meals from the hospital than I had families in need. So I delivered excess meals to Lauren for him to use in his wonderful setup in the car park behind the police station. Lauren and his volunteers serve meals to homeless 7 evenings per week at that site. They have been doing so for 5 years or more. He started small with a barbecue and built up over the years to the wonderful charitable setup he's got now. I will let you know how my meeting with Michael goes and whether I get a meeting with Andrew next episode. That's it for this week. Look forward to next week. This is Trev, tuning out.